Caris, I know it's a little while ago, but how are you processing just the season being over and how you guys finished this year?
Yeah, I'm still processing it. Definitely didn't expect to be done this early. So it is what it is on that side, but, trying to just reflect on the season. Obviously, it was a great regular season for us. For me personally as well, with games played and minutes played and all of that other stuff. So just finding the positives out of the situation and just resting my body, resting my mind.
Conversations with JB are probably more personal than about the game, but just how did you guys leave that of where things are at now that the season over?
Yeah, it was a good conversation. Kind of just what I was just talking about with, games played, minutes played, adjustments as far as roles and everything like that. And then just summer plans.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Caris.
How you doing?
We talked throughout the course of the season, and many of the guys talked about just lessons and how the playoffs were going to be the latest lesson. If that's the case, what is the hardest lesson to take from this playoff series against New York?
I think there's a couple lessons. I feel like, for us, I think we fought all season long to get home court advantage. And then not necessarily knowing what that meant for our group. Just in the way that we came out in game one, I feel like we came out in game two how we should have came out in game one. And if we would have done that, it'd probably be, we'd still be playing right now. If you protect home court, win those two, and then put some pressure on the Knicks to win two at home as well. And you got to learn those lessons going through it, We had a couple guys who'd never played in the playoffs. Obviously it was Coach's first time coaching the playoffs as a head coach. So it was a lot of people's first time. So I feel like for us, going through it together is only going to make us stronger in the end.
When you think back on the series against the Knicks, what do you feel like was the separator between the two teams?
For them, physicality. They were much more physical from game one all the way till yesterday. On the glass, especially, but not only on the glass, I feel like they were super physical when we were trying to cut, getting us out of our spots offensively. They just did a great job of getting us, out of our rhythm. So credit to them.
You're a free agent. Do you have interest in staying?
Absolutely. That was, something that we spoke about, me and JB as well. Just about, the future, what my role was like when I got here. Obviously was much different than what it was this season. So, obviously that's something that I definitely want to do. I definitely want to be a part of this culture, be a part of this team, This group is a super special group, and I definitely want to be a part of that. So, but you all know it's a business, so, we'll see what happens this summer. But, I would love to come back.
Thank you.
Yeah. You mentioned the culture. For us around you guys, we can kind of see the impact that JB has on you. With the series going the way it did, obviously he gets a lot of criticism from fans and stuff. Could you just kind of explain to folks just what he's meant to you as a player and, why he's the coach that can elevate you guys to that championship level that you aspire to be?
Yeah, I think if you ask any one of the players, they'll tell you he's truly a player's coach. He makes his players feel comfortable, but still holds everyone accountable. And as a coach in the NBA, that's not easy to do, to hold everyone accountable. It's a lot of personalities, a lot of egos. And he does a great job of that, from Don and Darius to, Mamadi, 1 through 15, he's holding everyone accountable. So I think, for a young team, a team like we are, who doesn't have a lot of experience in big games and things like that, I think that's the number one thing that you want as a coach, someone to tell you the truth and someone to hold you accountable. And he's been consistent with that since I've been here. And that's kind of who he is as a person. So aside from, all the other great, things he does as a coach, I think that's the number one thing that kind of sets him aside from other coaches I've had at this level.
And a common theme among your teammates today has been taking that failure and using it as motivation. For you as a player, how do you do that and manifest that so that, you don't have these feelings that you have today?
Yeah, I think for me, just first and foremost, not thinking of it as a failure, trying to learn from it, using it as a lesson. Obviously the playoffs is such kind of an experience where it kind of shows you what you need to work on, shows you what you're good at. So super grateful to be able to play in the playoffs. It's been a couple years since I played in it. So it was, it's the funnest basketball you can play. But it's exhausting, it's tiring, and it'll teach you about yourself. So I can't wait to break down the film from it. I've obviously watched the games, but I can't wait to break it down and, get back to work this summer.
Nate Aller from the Academy Journal. Caris, just following up on you saying you love coming back. What's driving that desire, and was there a specific point, like you said, your role has changed over your time here? Was there a specific point where you kind of came to the realization that you do want to be a part of this moving forward?
I think for me, it's just the culture. I've said it since I've been here. This is a special group of guys. Not every team is like that in the NBA, where everyone gets along, everyone likes to be together, everyone works hard, and is super talented. It's usually one of those things are off. We got all of them, and we're a young team still building as well. So that aside, with the coaching staff and everyone else who I've grown to make relationships and things like that with, it's just, I feel like it's a good fit for me.
You said that show people where they need to be better. On a personal level, what do you think it showed you about your game?
I think for me, it showed how adaptable I can be. I had different roles this season, this series, guarding different players, asked to play in, pick and rolls, play off the ball. So for me, going into the summer, that's how I approach it. Just, finding ways to be effective in different ways, and still, work on my conditioning. I feel like throughout this series, I think it was like Game 3, the first game at MSG, maybe Game 4 as well. I got a little winded, and I felt it a little bit. So I think this summer I'll, keep attacking that as well.
You've talked in the past about being able to find your rhythm coming off the bench and have the ball in your hands when you first get in the game. How much of an adjustment was it for you to, in the middle of the series, have that role shifted to being a starter?
Yeah, it was an adjustment for sure, but it was also what I've been doing all season. I think I got experience from doing it during the season early on, and just tried to lean on that experience. I feel like, after the trade deadline, I kind of found a rhythm and just embracing my role. So I just tried to ride that out through the end of the season.
Spencer?
Caris, when it comes to the way that you came into this season, this is actually the most games you've played since your second year. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
Is it as rigorous as you remember it was or at that time, or was it any different for you physically, mentally, to go through an entire season like that and also play?
Yeah, man, honestly, I felt like this was like my first real season, just because I've had so much happen over my career with injuries and, not necessarily like soft tissue injuries. Like I've had real injuries where I've missed like half the season. And those are, weird type of things because I would play the first month of the season, be hurt in November and not come back until like March. So that's a different type of season than this season. Like this was a full season. So I feel like there were definitely points where I'm like, wow, this is a really long season. Like I don't remember playing this long of a season. It's because I hadn't. So I'm super proud of myself for doing that. And that's definitely something I can, be proud of and build on, this offseason, try to play more games next year.
Hey, Caris, where do you think you improved most this season?
My shooting, off the ball shooting, catch and shoot numbers were pretty good this season. I think for me, that was always something that I was frustrated about just coming out of college. Like, I was such a, really good shooter. All 4 years I was there from the three-point line. And in the league, I found my mid-range, but the way the league is going, you got to be a really good three-point shooter, especially on the wing, to play with anybody, to play with, superstars or to play on the ball, you got to be able to shoot the three. So this season was definitely a success in that aspect for sure.
And how about defensively, since you got to play more, it looked like that improved too.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I felt joy in, getting stops and trying to just be a menace on that end of the floor. And I felt like our team was that, and I tried to, embody that as well. And, we were, top 3 defense all season. I think we finished at number 1, so that was definitely something as well, too.
JB talked about both last year when he first got here, just how you had conversations with him about like whatever he needed from you, you were willing to do, and he really took that message to heart. I guess just like over the course of this season, like how did you see that relationship with him grow in that aspect of his trust in you to put you in whatever kind of situation you needed you in?
Yeah, I feel like it grew a lot, especially like I said after the trade deadline. I feel like the trust in me had went up, and I feel like it was based on my play. I had started to play a little bit better, so my minutes started to be more consistent. I started up in that 28 to 32 minutes per game range, and I felt like, once my minutes got more consistent, my play was more consistent as well. So our relationship, continues to grow each and every day. But like I said, I have a lot of respect for him as a coach and as a person.
And I know you said you guys talked about your future, but is that also a conversation you feel like you have to have with the front office as well, not just JB?
Yeah, front office has expressed it as well, but that's more of, my agent and them as well. They know how I feel about, coming back.
Thank you.
Caris, there was a lot of conversation in this series against the Knicks about their rebounding advantages, about the physicality that they brought that you guys couldn't match. Are you in any way worried that is a reputation that is going to follow you guys and other teams are going to try and exploit that same weakness?
I mean, it's the playoffs. Everybody saw it. So if that is a reputation, it's only one way to stop it. We got to go out there and do something about it. And I think that's the joy of the sport. You get a chance to go out there next year and redeem yourself. And if we want to go to where we want to go to, we're going to have to face those hurdles. We're going to have to beat the Knicks. We're going to have to rebound. So, I mean, if that's what's being said about us, then, it is what it is. We're going to have to do something about it anyway.
And you've known Jarrett for a long time. You've been in the playoffs with him. He shouldered a lot of the responsibility for the rebounding problems. It's like, what's the message to him after a series like this where he even admitted he did not perform at his best?
For us, it was always gang rebounding. We're never looking at J.A. as saying that he messed up or he was, getting out-rebounded. I think we could all look in the mirror and say we missed the box out here or there, or, we weren't as physical as possible. Like, I was guarding Josh Hart a couple times and he got offensive rebounds. But no one's going to be on me because I'm a guard, and Mitch Robinson had, 18, 19 rebounds. So at the end of the day, it's a team. It's a team sport. It's not only Jay. We all got to help in. Obviously, he's a great offensive rebounder. Mitch Robinson is. And, we knew that coming into the series, and it just wasn't, a point of emphasis for us as players to go out there and execute. So, everyone has series where they feel like they could be better. I feel like I could have been better in a lot of areas. Like I said, there's another year. Obviously, we have a long off season, and I'm sure that'll, be in the forefront of his thoughts and his workouts and everything like that. So looking forward to next year.
Thank you.
Yeah.